I've come all the way from the oppressive heat of Delhi to meet and greet the monsoons here in Mumbai. But most significantly, I've come to say hello to Skoda Kushaq. Yes, the Kushaq here is Skoda's much-awaited entry into the very lucrative mid-size SUV segment. Does the Kushaq have what it takes to take on some very worthy and powerful rivals? This is HT Auto and I'm Shubhadeep, and this is the first drive review of the Skoda Kushaq. That the Kushaq is a distinct Skoda product is immediately visible from the front of the car. The blackened grille with chrome surround, the crystalline LED with daytime running lights, the fog lights with cornering functionality, or the front diffuser in silver color. All of these go on to make the Kushaq quite a looker from the front. From the side profile of the Kushaq, it's pretty evident that this car isn't the tallest in its segment, but it does have quite a good ground clearance. The dual-tone alloys on the 17-inch wheel look really good, and there is black side cladding just under the doors. There are subtle character lines running all the way from the A to the C pillar and beyond, but most noticeable is the Skoda piano black fender garnish. Completing the look of the Skoda Kushaq is the rear, which has a smart and sophisticated appeal. There is the black shark fin antenna, silver roof rails, bold Skoda lettering on the tailgate, a bit of chrome garnish on the trunk, and those crystalline LED tail lamps. All of this gives the Skoda Kushaq a very mature and sophisticated look. Now the rear seats of the Kushaq. I'll start with the great, move on to the good, and then to the not so good. So the highlight of the Kushaq here in this row is the amount of knee room that you have. This passenger seat is pulled all the way back and I still have miles and miles of knee room for me. So on that count, Skoda, a job really well done. Amongst the good, there are certain small little features, little bit of thought that's gone in. If you're as clumsy as I am, you can just place your phone right here in this section. There is also a very basic but par for the course central armrest. It's nice and comfortable. There is space for small coffee cups as well. Another good thing about the Kushaq is the reassuring thud with which the doors shut. So that right there is very typical of cars from the VW brand. Also, the level of cushioning on these rear seats is really satisfactory. So I really think that on long journeys, passengers at the rear shouldn't be much bothered about the level of comfort. What is a bit of a concern though is that the under thigh support is just about okay. It's just about adequate. A little bit more could have been great. I really also doubt and suspect that three people sitting right next to each other, the shoulder room may not be very generous. That said, the passenger on the middle shouldn't have a problem with placing his or her feet because A, there is no hump here in the middle, and there is the central armrest which doesn't jut back all that much. Speaking about the central armrest, you get the AC vents right here and you have two fast charging USB Type-C ports. Just in case you don't have a compatible cable, you will need a converter. Now some of the glaring shortcomings in the Kushaq's rear seat, well, a lot of use of hard plastic, so on that count Skoda has clearly cut some corners. Another thing that I am not very impressed with is how my feet are placed. The humps under the front seats are a little too constricting, so when I try to move my feet, well, not the ideal space given right here. Now I am seated a little upright. That's not too much of a problem for me, but what I'm concerned about is that I'm 5'8", the average Indian height, so I'm okay, but anybody who's 6 feet or above may have a problem with the headroom available right here. But now it's time to take a look at what's on offer on the front seats of the Kushaq. You know, it's continuing to impress me how wide these doors open. But we've anyway spoken about that. It's time to take a closer look at what the driver and the front passenger has to look forward to. The great in this car is that really gorgeous 10-inch infotainment screen. Now there is some amount of reflection, but the font is large enough for you to really notice everything that's available. And what is available on the infotainment screen? Well, starting with navigation, it's a large display right here, and you can also control your audio. You have support, wireless support by the way, for your phone through Android Auto and Apple CarPlay. Then you can also check driving statistics, so consumption, time, average speed, and all of those things. And one more swipe and you're taken to the page for apps. Skoda is offering 4 apps for now, and they're free of cost from the Skoda Play apps. The company says more additions will be made with passing time. The other good thing is that there is support for wireless charging. There are USB Type-C ports here as well to charge your phone through a cable. There is decent levels of storage space. Again, those space sections here for cup holders. There is some space under the central armrest too. I would have preferred for the central armrest to have been a little longer, because if I'm in a manual, and I am right now, so I have to sort of stretch to change the gear, but that I'll focus on when we are on the move. The good thing continues with how the layout of the car is. The AC vents are nice and large. There is piano black finish on the center console. Yes, it will attract dust. Yes, it will attract fingerprint, but it still looks quite premium. There is a honeycomb design all the way on the dash, which looks really good. You have the Skoda badging right there on the dash. And the glove compartment, just take a look at how huge this glove compartment really is. Now, much like the rear seats, the front seats are also nicely cushioned, so they're positioned really well, but you don't get to adjust the seats electronically. You still have to do it the old-fashioned way of tugging and pulling to adjust the seat for height and move it front and back. But once you do get your preferred driving position, the view of the road is really nice. The windows continue to be quite large, and on that count, it is a great place. In terms of features, well, the front 2 seats also have ventilation, so you can control all of that through the buttons on the central panel. These buttons are touch sensitive, so you can control the AC, you can control the seat ventilation as I mentioned. There is a button for engine start stop as well, and overall this place is a nice, comfortable place to be in. For somebody who is very taken by panoramic sunroof, the Kushaq only offers a regular sunroof. Me personally, I feel this one is just good enough and it's par for the course. As far as the steering is concerned, well, it can be adjusted for rake and reach. Where I think Skoda could have just indulged customers a bit more is the driver display, because it is semi-digital. Its rivals are offering an all-digital display, so on that one count I feel Skoda could have offered something extra. I'm really impressed by the steering setup inside the Kushaq, because it is nicely weighted, so while city traffic conditions means that the Kushaq will still weave in and out of traffic reasonably well, out on open roads and even at triple-digit speeds, the Kushaq steering holds itself firm and steady. I'm very satisfied with how the 1-litre TSI engine is performing, although I definitely would want to drive the 1.5 that's coming up, but the TSI engine does keep itself nicely composed on these roads. There is power for the taking when you want it, but whether it's in start-stop traffic or slightly heavy traffic, or right now I'm in quite an open road, the Kushaq does deliver a very comfortable and reassuring drive. The 6-speed transmission box isn't exactly perfect, but again, not much to complain about either. It's not the smoothest, it's not the slickest, but it will get the job done whether you're moving up the numbers or lowering down your speed. The suspension setup has been done almost perfect because it's not too soft and not too hard, so it does manage most of what Mumbai roads have thrown at us. And in tricky conditions, it's been raining the whole day today, even the puddles and all have been negotiated pretty well by the Kushaq. As I mentioned, it's been raining the whole day, so we've really put the Kushaq through the test in wet conditions. And one good thing about this car is that it also gets traction control. So just when you think that you are on slippery, hilly possibly roads and you need that extra bit of traction, then just a press of a button and the Kushaq will offer a bit more grip from those tires. Now, once you do hit the hilly roads, you're making a climb up, you will have to work the gearbox a little harder than usual. So you will have to downshift a little more frequently if you need to get that added bit of power. That's especially true if you're making that overtaking move. But that said, we've spoken about the steering wheel and how hefty it is. There is a bit of clout on it, and that really helps the Kushaq to sort of negotiate the roads better, makes the turn very, very easy, supple. But now, like, I have to make an overtaking move. The Kushaq will respond as long as you're in the lower gear. But back climb, I'll have to downshift again, because once it is only after and beyond the 2000 RPM mark that the Kushaq will get a move on uphill climbs. Now, there is a small sense of body roll that does seep into the Kushaq, and that's mostly felt in the back seat. But why you in the front row may not feel it all that much, why it may not be so much of a concern, is because the seats have some sort of bolstering. It has a little bit of support here, so even when you're making tight turns at relatively moderate speeds, you are sort of cocooned well in the front seats. That's not true in the back though. Sharp turns require a bit more muscle. That's possibly also because of how nicely weighted the steering is. So while you are making those sharp turns, or perhaps those U-turns, you will have to put in slightly more effort than what you would have had to in some of the Korean rivals that compete against the Kushaq. So there you have it, the Skoda Kushaq. It isn't the flashiest in its segment and does not have a mile-long list of features, and yet it ticks almost all the right boxes. It's a good, solid statement of intent from Skoda, but what do you make of it? Do let us know. And in this episode, that's all we have for you. Stay tuned for more such drive reviews.